What is the hiring process typically like for product management positions?
Yeah, good question. So almost always it's a 2-round process. Sometimes it goes further. It will typically start with let's start talking about like the bigger companies like the Amazons, Googles, Facebooks. They'll start, I guess you could say it's like a 3-round process. They'll start with like a phone screen. Almost always will happen with a recruiter, so someone in the recruiting organization, not someone that's going to live within the product management kind of stack. And they will basically screen candidates for, do I think this person is a credible fit for the organization? So the lens they're kind of looking through is, do they seem to have the right type of experiences on their resume? When I speak to them, do I like them, and do they fit like whatever the company culture is there? And if I pass this person on to the next round, so if I, like, this recruiter is thinking, if I send Kenton to Adam, who's a PM, and Adam does the first round interview, is Adam going to come back and say like that was a terrible candidate, or like that was a credible candidate, he had some interesting things but he wasn't a fit, or like yeah, that was a great candidate? So that's really what the recruiter's doing, like make sure you seem like a culture fit and make sure you seem like a credible candidate, which is basically like, do you have some of the right signals on your resume? And when the recruiter, asks you about those signals, do you seem to be able to like credibly explain them in a competent way? So that's like round one. Round two, typically at Facebook, Amazon, Google, pretty similar, is usually 2 phone interviews. Sometimes they're video conference interviews, sort of depends on the company, the team, where you are physically even sometimes. And those 2 interviews will be more content focused. So at Amazon, they'll test you on the leadership principles, which is kind of their lens of testing you on various skills that they're looking for, but they will essentially end up being like product-oriented conversations where they'll test you on, and for Amazon it'd be like leadership principles that are relevant to building products. Like, do you think big about vision? Do you have good natural intuition? Like Amazon has this leadership principle that's called R right a lot, so they will try and test your intuition on various things and see if you have good kind of product intuition. Those are usually like 2 45-minute to an hour-long interviews. They're almost always with PMs specifically. Sometimes, depending on the company, you might like do one interview with like a PM, one interview with an engineer who might be a little more focused on trying to suss out, do I think this person is like technically fluent enough to work on this team? So they're probably not going to grill you on like maybe they'll go through a product case with you, but they might just try and ask you questions to understand how is he or she going to interact with engineers on our team. So after that round, then there's basically an on-site round, which is, depending on the company, maybe 4 interviews, maybe as many as 6 interviews. And the biggest difference between that like phone round, video conference round of interviews and this round of interviews is that you usually, for a product management role, will get a spectrum of different folks that you talk to. So you'll get that kind of glance across the core team. So usually you'll talk to maybe another PM or maybe 2 more PMs, but you'll also talk to maybe another engineer or a lead designer, or potentially someone from a sales team, people that are going to try and evaluate how you're going to interface with those different functions that are really critical. And the PMs will basically test you on, going back to those things we were talking about at the beginning, like your product sense, product strategy. They might test you a little bit on like, can you back that type of stuff up with like analytics and metrics, like do you handle numbers and analysis well? Engineers, again, sorry, go ahead.
Technical skills.
Engineers will test you on your technical skills and maybe test you on some product sense and culture fit. And designers, sales, copywriters, et cetera, whoever else, operations folks will probably try and just sense a culture fit. Does he or she fit with this company? And be a little bit, maybe, do they understand kind of where and how would they interact with my function? Do they understand what design is about? Do they understand like the operations that might go into supporting Amazon core shopping experience or Google AdWords or Facebook's newsfeed?